What's up, guys? Welcome to another hour of Devastation draft. In this pack we have a pretty unexciting rare and a lot of green. Open Fire as I think the best common that I'm seeing. And I think what I'm going to be taking is Farm to Market. This card is just very good. The 3 mana side, the 3 mana destroy an attacking creature is pretty strong. And the flashback is actually pretty relevant. Just trade in the late game, because games, at least from my experience, tend to go a bit longer in this format. So just trading 2 of your worst cards for 2 of just any better cards is pretty strong. Pretty sad to be passing this Open Fire, but I think I like Farm to Market here a bit better, so I'm going to be taking that. So this pack, we have Abandoned Sarcophagus is interesting. I've never actually tried this card, but it seems like it could be good if you have like a ton of cyclers. Probably better in sealed, I think. Doomfall, which is pretty strong. Unconventional Tactics if you want to go into the zombie aggro deck. 2 Deserts, which I think are pretty good, but there are better cards. Sandblast, which is kind of just a clone of Farm to Market. And maybe like a Marauding Bone Slasher. I think probably Doomfall is the best and most versatile pick. For me, it's between that and the Sandblast. Again, just having like a bunch of 3 mana removal spells is kind of nice. And here I think I'm just going to take Sandblast. I know Doomfall's probably stronger, but you know, I didn't pass much white in the last pack, and although I'm passing Unconventional Tactics, it's not like a very... It's more for like a zombie aggro deck, whereas this is more for like a controlling type deck. And there's not much else white in the pack. So, sending some good signals. Ooh, okay. Eternal of Harsh Truth is actually very strong. I think I'm going to take that over another Sandblast. Because, I mean, having situational removal is fine, but if you have only situational removal, then you can run into some problems. Whereas this card's just very good. Getting it 3rd pick is kind of a nice sign. And hope to wheel maybe like a Desert or the Sandblast. Notably passing some more decent green. I've been very impressed by Oasis Ritualist, but I'm going to take this Eternal. It's just pretty good, I think. Wow, okay. Aerial Guide and Sunset Pyramid. Both very strong. Go in different decks. So Sunset Pyramid I think is what I'm going to be taking. Goes quite well with these nice 3-drop removal spells when you're trying to play for a longer game. Aerial Guide is good if you're in an aggressive deck and just trying to beat down. But given that Sunset Pyramid is colorless and my colors aren't necessarily... Like, I only have 1 decent blue card, probably just going to take that. Apocalypse Demon, what does this even do? Power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your graveyard, and you tap him? That seems bad. So I'm just going to take the Pyramid. Be pretty happy about it. You can just very much win the late game. Wow, another Aerial Guide, but I think for us we have this Unquenchable Thirst, which is very strong. Just more removal is always nice, but seeing these aggressive black and blue cards going this late are kind of interesting. But Unquenchable Thirst is also one of the best commons, I think. Just 2 mana, deals with any creature, and it prevents them from being able to embalm or eternalize because they're still on the battlefield. So I think this is very strong and I'm going to take it. Hope to pick up some of those deserts we saw going around pack 1 early on. Here, so we have actually some pretty interesting choices. So Torment of Scarabs is good as like in a very controlling deck as a win condition. And Strategic Planning is just like decent. I think I'm going to take the Torment of Scarabs. I don't think this card is very good in every matchup. But if your opponent's very slow, and you have a lot of like card advantage and removal, and you're trying to go for a long game, if you can land this early on a pretty clear board, this card can win the game by itself. So I think I'm going to bring it in, or take it here, because it's an uncommon, and I can pick up, you know, Rune Rats and Strategic Plannings when I want. Whereas this card has a higher upside, even if it's not necessarily the best card for me. Here I think I'm just going to take a Desert. Goes well with Unquenchable Thirst, prevents Mana Flood. Just all around a decent card. And I'm missing out on like a Razaketh's Right, which I think is just very expensive. And double black isn't great, because if I play this, it's probably just going to be a splash. So, take the Desert, pretty happy about that. Here we have Gideon's Defeat. which is really good as a sideboard card. Rune Rat, which I like in a controlling deck. It just blocks any creature. And then a Solitary Camel is just fine. 3 mana is kind of a lot. So I think for me it's between these two cards. And given that I only have one black card, I think I'm just going to stay in white. Rune Rat's not good enough reason. And Gideon's Defeat is a very good sideboard card. So this is kind of interesting. Just a lot of green wheels out of this pack. I remember there was a ton of green in this pack to begin with, but I think Cory Beetle's pretty decent. And Frilled Sand Wall is not terrible, but Strategic Planning isn't bad either, and I'm going to be taking that card. Here, so we have the Sarcophagus, but like no cycling, so that card is kind of just a dead card. I'm just going to take the Tragic Lesson. It just goes better with this whole like controlling card advantage type theme. I don't think it's great, and we might not always play it, but you know, incremental card advantage is nice. Here, I'll probably take the... it's between Godpharaoh's Faithful and Chandra's Defeat as a splash. And I think I'm going to take the Defeat. I think the Faithful usually goes pretty late, and if we end up somehow playing red, it's just a much higher upside. Here, probably... I don't really like either of these cards, especially in this deck. Although we could be like backdooring into the blue-red spells deck, so I'm going to take the Firebrand Archer. Okay, here, Godpharaoh's Faithful could be interesting in some matchups. Although it looks kind of, you know, bad. It is a very good early play to prevent you from just dying. And you can recoup the card advantage with cards like Sunset Pyramid and Tragic Lesson later on in the game. So against a very aggressive opponent, this is a decent sideboard card. I think I would only main deck this card if I'm playing against, or if my deck is just has an amazing late game, but as it is, probably starting in the sideboard. So, right now, it's kind of unclear what this deck is trying to do. We have a lot of good... ooh. Okay. So I think we found our answer, and we're going to be controlling. Hour of Devastation is very strong, especially in draft when people expect the board wipes much less. I have to find a way to cast it, but I think we're probably going to transition into a blue-red spells deck, because this card is just very good, especially with all this card advantage that we have. We're going to be passing an Aven of Enduring Hope, which is good, a Blue Desert, and Open Fire, which is very strong as well, but I think Hour of Devastation is just more of like a deck-defining card, and if we pick up some Open Fires later, that'd be pretty good, but I'm going to take this, be pretty happy about it, and try and oh, wow. Pride Sovereign's very good, too. I don't think we're in the colors to play it. I can't get too greedy with my mana base. Right now, it's looking like probably red-blue, maybe splash this farm to market. There's another Unquenchable Thirst, which is very good. Just early removal is so strong. We want more deserts if this is the case. Pride Sovereign, yeah, I don't think it's going to work in this deck. But we're going to take this Unquenchable Thirst and hope to wheel either a desert or this Manalith, which I think we will play in this deck. Because we're probably playing two colors plus a splash. And the extra ramp will be pretty helpful in a pinch. Casting Aura on turn 4 is kind of nice if we need to. But we have some decent early removal, so hopefully that's not the case. Double Unquenchable Thirst really makes me want to start picking up some blue deserts, though, because this card's it's very good, but there are some vigilance creatures that are pretty annoying, and being able to deal with those would be very nice. Okay, Torment of Hailfire I think is just fine. You need the game to be like pretty late for this to be actually good, so I'm not going to be taking that. We have Shafet Dunes, which is not what my deck really wants. It is a desert, but not that exciting. Desert of the Glorified, if we want to play this Torment of Scarabs. And then another Tragic Lesson, and a Torment of Venom, I guess. But Torment of Venom is double black, which is... I don't think we're going to be able to cast in this deck, at least not yet. So I think here I'm probably just going to take... Well, I don't know. Maybe I just take the Torment and just have like a very strong late game. Because this card plus Torment of Scarabs, just plus a bunch of removal spells, could be good enough. You know what? I'm going to take this. I'm trying something new. This might not be good, but Look, both of these have pictures of Nicol Bolas on it, so maybe that's the theme of this deck, is cards with pictures of Nicol Bolas. Okay, so here we have another Torment of Scarabs, a Lethal Sting, Seer of the Last Tomorrow, and a Tragic Lesson, plus this Desert, which I think might be the pick here. We could play Sandblast and Farm to Market. That puts us in 4 colors, though. So, like, maybe I just don't play this, and maybe it's better just to take a Survivor's Encampment with 2 creatures. Desert of the True, Survivor's Encampment. This is tough. I have like only 2 decent white cards. I think I'm gonna take this Desert. Just lets me play more lands. Here, it's not much for us. There's like a Lurching Rot Beast, Unsummon. Actually, I think I'll probably just take the Unsummon. I just need playable early spells. Leona's Defeat is a good sideboard card, but it's not even clear that we're black. Probably what's going to happen is we're going to be blue-white splashing this Hour. But Unsummon or the Kenra. I think I'm just going to take the Unsummon. It's, ooh, okay, Bloodwater Entity is a very good sign. This late, just, yeah, I've been very impressed with this card. I also, in my sealed deck, I showed this combo, but I really like this plus Wander in Death, because you can play it, it dies, you get Wander in Death, and then you get this plus another card back. So every time you cast this, you get Wander in Death, and you skip your draw step, but then you get this plus another creature back, which I think is very strong. So I'm going to take the Bloodwater Entity and be pretty happy about it. And wow, Riddle Form is very good. I think having this is probably better than the 3rd Unquenchable Thirst. These are harder to come by. This card, the Scry, gives you a very strong late game. It gets in for a relatively impressive amount of damage. I really like this card, so I'm going to take it. Swarm Intelligence. If there was a deck to play it, it would... Well, I guess Unquenchable Thirst is not an instant, so probably won't be playing Swarm Intelligence. Right now it's between Proven Combatant and Tragic Lesson. We already have a Tragic Lesson. We have quite a bit of 3-drops. Riddle Form, Strategic Planning. But I think I'm just going to take another Tragic Lesson. This lets me play... Probably Striped Riverwinder is the pick. I don't need 2 Unsummons. Although... How often am I actually going to cast this card? With double Tragic Lesson, I have a pretty good amount of card advantage. No, I'll still take this. With Wander in Death, I think this has a high enough upside, because you can just cast Wander in Death and then cycle it. If I can find that card, and if I'm in black. But I think that's better than just picking up a random Unsummon. Here, so there's Rezikut's right, but I'm probably just going to take the Steadfast Sentinel. It's card advantage, fits in my deck pretty well. Okay, I don't know if I need this many Tragic Lessons. I can't really take that much time off skipping land drops. Cunning Survivor is a 1/3 though. Whenever I cycle a discard a card, it can't be blocked. I guess I'll take it. I mean, just a 2-drop is pretty important. Yeah, so I get as many Tragic Lessons as I could ever want. Okay, so going into pack 3, our deck is not amazing. I'm surprised the Manolith did not wheel. People usually don't value that card very high. So Dread Wanderer is very good, but not for this type of deck. Even Wind Guide also is good, but I don't think that's necessarily what we want. We want to be pretty controlling and then just have a very strong late game. So there's Reduce to Rubble, which I think is pretty mediocre and likely to wheel. Electrify, which is really strong, and then Essence Scatter as a 2-drop removal. Also quite good. So I think I'll probably just take the Electrify. It's more versatile, and then hope to wheel one of these very strong blue or red cards. This pack's very good. I would be happy with almost every card in here. Even Renewed Faith I would probably play. Unless... Maybe I would cut white if I can, and just like splash this farm. But I'm going to take Electrify. Very good, very strong. Can get it back with Bloodwater Entity. So I'm happy about that pickup. Here we have Rags to Riches. Obviously I don't have black mana to probably cast that, so I can't really take it. There's Blazing Volley is a decent sideboard card in some matchups, but this deck looks like it wants a Seeker of Insight. We have a lot of spells, and triggering the Pseudo Prowess, the ability on this is pretty nice. Just discarding lands, getting to your strong, powerful plays is nice. So I'm going to take the Seeker here. Ooh, Enigma Drake is exactly what this deck wants. Oh, there's also Cut to Ribbons. I didn't even see that. Wow. These packs have been very good. Okay, so Cut to Ribbons, premium removal. Double black just gives us a late game in and of itself. If we can cast it. Which, if we cut the white, then maybe we side in like Torment of Scarabs and like enough black to cast the ribbon side. Alternatively, we can just take Enigma Drake. But I think even just cut by itself is strong enough to take. We're probably not going to wheel this Enigma Drake, but this card's very strong. Or we could have both. Why not both? Alright, we're going to take Enigma Drake and be really happy about it. Passing up on a Fetid Pools, which I would probably play. It does fix our mana and gives us cycling, but Enigma Drake is going to be very frequently like a 3-4, 4-4 for 3. Passing up on Floodwaters, Thresher Lizard, Winds of Rebuke, but yeah, Enigma Drake we definitely want in this deck. Okay, here we have a chance to pick up an Evolving Wilds for the splash. And we're going to be missing out on a Hieroglyphic Illumination. But given that we have a bunch of Tragic Lessons, that's not nearly as important in this deck. So, how many? We have almost enough playables. And not really too many compelling cards in here. So I'm going to take the Evolving Wilds. We need good mana, and this is one step closer to getting there. Okay, so here we have another Evolving Wilds, which I think I might just take again. We need to be able to cast these spells. We have a lot of strong plays, and we're missing out on like a Cancel or a Horror of the Broken Lands, which we can't even really cast, so I'm going to take this again. Okay, here, wow, that's a very late Electrify. Yeah, I will happily take this card over a Cancel. That's kind of a gift. Wow, late Honored Card Captain too. So here there's Heckma Sentinels. How many Cyclers do we have? One. Tragic Lesson does allow us to discard. Farm to Market lets us discard 2. So not many. It is just a nice 2-3 for 3, but there's also Blazing Volley, which in the right matchup is just a one-sided board wipe. And I think I'm actually just going to take that. This card's good, but we just don't have much cycling, and this card's a very strong sideboard, which I think having a nice sideboard, especially in this format, is very important. So, let's see. Right now we have just a very strong red-blue deck. Essence Scatter came around. I'll probably take that over Reduce to Rubble. Just being at 2 mana is very strong. We have plays all along the curve. Definitely taking this. Minotaur Sure Shot's actually pretty nice. Blocks flyers, can get in for some damage. It can win the game on its own, especially in the late game. I don't think Zenith Seeker is very good. 4 mana for a 2-2 flyer is just pretty medium. So our deck's actually, wow, Enigma Drake wheeled? Okay. Wow. Alright, this deck went from like pretty mediocre to getting very strong. Eternal, double Enigma Drake, Bloodwater Entity, Riddle Form. Okay, I'm starting to like this deck. Okay, probably not playing this Desert. We can just be straight blue-red, and we have 23 playables as it is. Winds of Rebuke could be nice. Puts spells in the graveyard for these Enigma Drakes. Okay, what else do we have? We have Granatic Titan, which we might need to win the game. At least as like a one-of. Enigma Drake, Bloodwater ND, Eternal of Harsh Truth. So we're going to be drawing quite a few cards. I don't know if triple Tragic Lesson is exactly what we want, but it does work pretty well with, you know, we can discard spells we don't need. Probably take a Compelling Argument. Maybe I want this Riverwinder just as a late game play. Strategic planning, Sunset Pyramid is very good. I actually kind of like Firebrand Archer in this deck. We can just dome them for so much damage. Because it's a non-creature spell, so it's not just instants or sorceries. Cunning Survivor I think is pretty weak, so I'm going to probably cut that. So we have 24 playables right now, and I think that's all we're getting. And we have some sideboard splash options, especially off the double Evolving Wilds. We could try and splash like Torment of Scarabs plus Ribbons if we think we're short on threats. I might just bring the Black Splash in against like slower decks, because Torment plus Torment of Hailfire is a pretty reliable way to win a long game if they're not threatening us. But against like an aggressive green or red-white deck, this card's going to do nothing against an aggro deck. So I think it's better to start it in the sideboard, especially since we have the option to. But I guess the main question is, do we want the white spells, such as Farm to Market's very strong, and maybe just splashing this on its own is worth it off these double Evolving Wilds. And I could play these two deserts as well. So I could have like two Evolving Wilds with a single Plains, and then double Desert of the True lets me turn on my Unquenchable Thirsts and also just cycles in the late game. And maybe that's strong enough. And in that case, maybe I want this Steadfast Sentinel, but it is double white. Huh. Because having these deserts is nice. It lets me play a higher land count, so I could probably go up to 17 lands with both of these cyclers. Evolving Wilds will thin my deck ever so slightly. And then I think Farm is a very strong card. It just kills anything, and then the cycling is very relevant too. So I think I'm going to cut a Tragic Lesson and Essence Scatter, Riddle Form, Seeker of Insight. Maybe that's not okay. Maybe I cut Tragic Lesson, Steadfast Sentinel, and this Granatic Titan. Play 17 lands with these two deserts and these two Evolving Wilds in one Plains. Is that the problem? Is that I'm thinking is that too many white sources for just one card as a splash? And is it better just to do something like this? Play 16 lands, less cycling, better mana base. That might be better. I think that's better. I'm still going to play these Evolving Wilds. I value having good mana pretty highly, and given that I have a lot of early 2-drops, the caveat of these coming into play tapped isn't that heartbreaking. So I think I'm going to run it like this. No swamps. Well, let's sort by color. I have a lot of early blue. Double red is pretty important, but we can find that. So no swamps. Nine, 7. I guess I need one more playable because I forgot that Evolving Wilds was a land. So I'm going to cut one island and put in probably a Granatic Titan. Just it can cycle early if it's not relevant. It's just a very good card. So 17 lands. We have a pretty good way to mitigate flooding with double Tragic Lesson. Eternal draws cards. Seeker of Insight can cycle away extra lands. Riddle Form can scry. Yeah, this deck seems pretty good to me. So I'm going to start it like this. And then I have some pretty decent sideboard options against different types of decks. Against like a slow grindy deck, I can bring in the deserts for cycling, or bring in Torment of Scarabs and Torment of Hailfire. Against more aggro decks with bigger creatures, I have Sandblast plus Farm to Market. And even Godpharaoh's Faithful can be decent. Give me a bunch of life. Anyways, I'll see you guys round 1. We'll see how this deck does.